Hi everybody, welcome to a new series I am starting. It is a Photoshop series. Hopefully there's more episodes than the other notorious Photoshop series I started, labeled Quick Tips. I wish there was more to that series. I wish I didn't jump into that and not have more quick tips lined up. It's just that every time I went to go record a new episode of that, I started to fall into all these tips, and they weren't quick tips. They were becoming tutorial videos, and there's 1,000 of tutorial videos on YouTube. So this video and this series is going to be logos that you guys send me. I get this all the time on my stream. Hey Jay, made art, made a logo. This series is mainly going to focus on logos. Hey Jay, made a logo. Can you look at it and critique it and tell me what's right, tell me what's wrong about it, whatever. Now, Chase tweeted this to me, not knowing I had this series, not knowing anything, and I asked him if I could use it in a video to critique. I don't want to embarrass him. I don't want to ever discourage anybody from designing. I don't want to come off as rude and say your logo isn't good or whatever. I just want to try to teach you guys why this logo might not be as good as it can be. And if my wording ever gets rude or nasty, half of it's humor. I hope Chase is okay with this. I'm not gonna like sit here and destroy it. I'm just gonna say what he did wrong and what he did right. And I'm gonna create a new logo and try to show you guys what the proper steps would be to making something like this. I'm going to take his idea and recreate the logo in the best way I know how. I am not a professional. That's a lie. I'm sorry. I was a professional graphic designer for 3 years at Penguin Random House. You guys don't care about my credentials. All I'm saying is my lingo, the way I do certain art isn't school taught. There's a lot of people out there that are school taught. Jay, shut up. Continue on with the video. Okay. So now here's what was sent to me exactly like this. And just so you guys know, he was using this as his Twitter avatar, exactly this picture, right? So there's a couple things that I first noticed right when I saw this. I noticed the bevel and emboss. Now this is a normal Photoshop filter that you could do. Like I can even bevel and emboss this actual picture. As you can see, the edges are coming in like that. This effect, unless used really, really well, can come off as very cheesy. And this goes for a lot of styles and effects and filters that are in Photoshop. And a lot of people use them and just basically because they're there. I don't recommend them, and I'm not saying don't ever use them, because honestly I've used them and they have their time and spots where they need to be used. Like stroke I use a lot, obviously, and there's inner shadow, which isn't bad. I mean, bevel and emboss, if you do certain things with it, it could look not so bad. But overall, I think that effect isn't great, but I could show you different ways to capture what you're kind of going for. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the text here and just composition. Like just looking at this right now, there's a lot of empty space up here, and it doesn't seem like the same amount is over there. See how it's already overlapping? Just the composition of the whole entire thing. And if you're going to, I want to show you guys, if you're going to make a Twitter avatar, what you need to do. If like how you need to manipulate your branding to make avatars that look good, small, etc., etc. So let's hop into this without further ado. So I just opened up a new document, 1920 by 1080. I just downloaded this font. It's an Old English font. I'm assuming this is what he was going for, an Old English style. This one's a little more stylized, but I think it looks cleaner. It has harder edges. This font is completely free. I got it off defont.com or 1001 Fonts. I don't remember exactly what site. Excuse me. I'm going to be drinking some water during this. My throat is still bothering me. I'm just getting over being cold. being cold, being sick, having a cold. Okay. So this is a font I downloaded for completely for free. I don't know about licensing and like all that stuff is, you have to look into that yourself. But there's a few things I noticed wrong. Honestly, I think this idea for a logo isn't terrible. The only thing is he connected the C up here, which kind of makes it read as DB if you look at it quickly. These like connected letter logos can sometimes be really misinterpreted. So you kind of have to make a distinction of a disconnect here, right? So let's start by doing that. So basically we want to close this gap a little bit. You know what? I'm actually going to do this. Let me just copy this, delete it out of this layer, duplicate the B layer so we have the same exact size, come over and then change it to that C. And let's get some guides out here. New guide. You go to this view, new guide, 50% vertical, 50% horizontal. You'll always find the center. Drag it out. We got to connect these in the fashion that we want. It seems like it lines up okay. We could adjust some things. Now, these logos are not going to be perfect. I'm just trying to show you guys what you can do to make your logos better. They're not going to be perfect. There's going to be pixelated stuff. It's not for reproduction. It's just ideas, okay? So what I always tend to look at first in a logo is what can we do to make this like a look cleaner and more like a logo and not two letters together, right? So when you have a sharp angle like this, first of all, you got to notice the disconnect. I like that spacing, so I'm probably going to keep it. It's just enough to know that it's disconnected and it's not a D, it's a C. But see this sharp angle right here? I'm going to literally copy this angle. And like I said, it's going to be rough. Copy that angle. As you can see, it's a little off, but we just tilt it a little bit. And then it's that angle. And then we bring it over here, right? Just flip it exactly perfectly so it's like this. That angle's right. Just line it up again. Connect it to the edge of your C. And then bam. Guarantee the logo, once I zoom out, will already look cleaner. And you might think like, oh, that's so subtle. But I'm telling you, things like this is what makes logos better. As you can see, bam, bam, those angles are basically, well, they're exactly the same. And it gives that look of like a sleeker logo already. Just little changes like that will do a lot. I'm telling you, they will do a lot. And then you can go down here and even do something like this. And like all these changes I'm doing, they're not super artistic. Like you just take the pen tool and do something like this. I guarantee it's going to give you a very rounder bottom like this, and it's going to look a lot cleaner. So what you can do is you can take a white circle, make sure it's perfect. You make it perfect by holding shift, by the way. Make sure it's perfect, and then you just want to push it up into this. We need to make it bigger. Make it bigger, and then drag it down just so you can get some spacing in here. Just got to line it up a little bit, and that looks good right there. Honestly, in my opinion, I think it needs to have... I see what they're doing with the C there and why this is making this look a little strange. But honestly, the more I look at it, the more I like it. If you just don't focus on the bottom so much and just look at it as a logo, it's looking very sleek right there. So just simple things like that. There are other things you can do. What else can you do? I'm looking at these angles. They look okay. Honestly, I would probably beefen this up a bit because we brought in that circle. So something like this. And then that. So it's more of a swoop and it's more consistent with the rest of the design. Something like that ties in the logo, thickens it up down here so that circle isn't taking away too much of the logo. That angle's good. That angle's good. It looks like these line up. Those do line up. And then these line up. The only thing that doesn't line up is these, which we could switch. So we could do this, line it up with the C, and then you go like this. Oh, by the way, before you guys are typing, I know you guys are typing in the comments right now. Why are you doing logo work with Photoshop and not Illustrator? That's ridiculous, Jay. I am very much more well-versed in Photoshop than Illustrator. That's it, period. That's the only reason. So you do something like this. You could hold shift so it just sticks on this line, and then you drag it over right there, probably is good. And then just hold shift again and kick it up, and then it's going to be a straight shot. Unfortunately, it's off by like a couple pixels, but we should be able to fix that. Yeah, I'm just better in Photoshop, and that's as simple as it is. That is as simple as it is. So there you go. How long did this take me? Like 7 minutes, and in my opinion, it's already looking a little bit better. No offense again, Chase, than that, but it's just simple things like that, right? So you have the disconnect here, you have the angles here, you have the smoother transitions into the logo, making it less of just letters and more of a logo. And it's looking a lot cleaner. So he had some designs in there. So let's just move these. Make sure we kind of center it like that. And then he had 3 lines here. So he wants 3 red lines, right? Now, I don't know if this would be my first design choice, but here's where you can add interest. So let me actually just do this really quick. Convert to shape. Convert to shape, and I'm gonna combine all these into not the white though. Hold on, just gotta do this. This should be good. All those are good. Keep the circle there. Okay, so I don't know if this would be my first design choice, these 3 things, but here's where you can add interest, right? So you take the red, and then we can just suction it into that. You could add interest by either doing lines like this, where they're not just straight up 3 lines. Something like that is going to add interest and make the logo more interesting, right? It's going to make it look like, oh, that's just not 3 straight lines. That's something else. Let my eye focus on it a little bit more to understand it. And that's why adding interest is so important. So you can go back and even do something like this where they're cut out lines, which I think might even look better as in a design perspective, and do something like that. Where it just looks cleaner, and you line it up right on that cut, and then there you go. Like that, to me, I think looks a little cooler than maybe something like this. I understand if you wanted to get the red in there, you could, but and back to the bevel effect. Here's basically what I was getting at. Like you could, there's other things you could do to achieve something like that. Me personally, I think logos should and look best as minimalistic as possible. But what you can do is, so instead of like that soft look, you could go in and create your own bevel by just doing like something like this. Sorry if you hear the train. It's just my life. It's just my life, dude. It's what I'm living with. Do that, and then do this. And then just bring it all the way back up to there. And then probably just pop it out like that. So it's a little tight. Let's make it less tight. Then you could do something like that. And to me, obviously, I mean, it would be, I would have to work this like this and make sure the angles, or it hits right where it's supposed to hit. But something like that, I think adds a little something to the logo, and it's not as like, this makes it just look blurry and not clean, when I think logos should be simple and clean. But like, this is all my brain, and that's why I'm making this series, to show you, maybe give you a little insight in what I think and how I think about logos. Not necessarily saying it's right, because I don't know. It's just the way I think about them. But if you were so inclined to want to add something like that, highlights like this would be really cool. You can also, you could add color with it, or whatever you want to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to roll like this, but it's not a bad look. I could just do that like up here too, and then hit it there and make sure it kicks down there. But you also lost, you lost something here by hitting the bevel on the letters, and then you had a dark shadow in here, and then it led right into that, which right here just looks obviously a little sloppy. And I think little things like this is what disconnects people from logos, and it like slight alterations will change everything, I'm telling you. So let's just do this, and then we're gonna drag that over. I don't know if we want it in the middle too. The only thing is, let's see. I mean, if this was a commission I was getting paid, I would obviously put in a little more effort, but this is just a like a educational type video. But I think this looks okay. It's not all hitting on the right spots where I think it should be hitting, but it's passable for right now. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Because now what you're doing with these cutout designs on these lines is you're adding mystery to the design, and mystery adds, back to what I said, mystery adds interest, and interest in a design is huge. Interest in a minimalistic design is very big too, because that's what keeps people looking at minimalistic designs, is interest. When it's too minimalistic, and then it becomes cheap and simple without interest. But as you can see, I think this logo is looking pretty good. I don't want to harp and stay on this for too long, but so he had his name down here. So this name, I think it needs tracking. So I'm trying to think what what font that is. I think I have that font. I'm not exactly sure. What font it is. And here's how I look at it. If you're gonna do caps or non-caps, like if you're gonna do any kinds of cap locks, I think you either have to go all the way or not at all. So you go all caps or no caps at all. I just think that looks cleaner in logos. But if we just use something like code, like something super simple, because you want to like not you. So I'm sorry, it's a little tough to get all my words out when I'm trying to explain something. But say people are like, oh, I want to make a logo and have an old English font and have my name below the logo mark. A lot of people would go to straight up. Chase didn't do this, which I do credit him for. Yeah, so a lot of people would be like, oh, this is my logo, it's old English. Let me throw in my old English name now because it's an old English font. So something like this, right? Can I get this out of the way? There you go. Now, it doesn't look bad, but back to the thing I was saying about interest, it's not interesting. You have an old English logo mark, and then you have old English type. To me, I would do something like this, buyers, I think, and then you would go code like light or something, and then you would go like this, and then you would make it a lot smaller. Something like that. To me, this makes the logo much more interesting, and it gives the image of not a one-sided company. Whatever you're doing, I mean, it's all relative to what kind of logo you're creating, but it adds layers to the logo. So it's not just one thing through and through. Branding is important, of course, but you also want diversity in your logos and watermark and word marks to add interest. So I would do something like this, but back to his image. Big issues here with tracking. Tracking is right here. It's very important, very, very important. And there's way too much of a space in between your name there for how tight your tracking is. That's why it looks like this, and that's why it throws the composition of the whole thing off. You need a smaller space here, and you need, like I said, either all lowercase or all capitals just to show consistency in the name. And then you need to open up the tracking. See, I open up the tracking a lot here. I'm gonna be honest; it could be thicker to match the logo a little bit better. Something like that probably would work better. But as you can see, there's tracking, and the space in the middle isn't like, so it's not like this, right? This is kind of what you had here. Do you see the difference, what I'm saying? You add a lot of balance this way, and it doesn't matter now what size it is. Like, you could honestly, if you want to get crazy, you want to line it up with like this and this. Like that. You know, if you want to do something like that. That stuff never really bothered me because I like adding shape with this, because now you have a logo that's like that instead, or you could just do something like this, which makes it very that makes it like very high class when you do stuff like that. But something like this, it would be fine because you want to get your name across if you're a standalone business or like a, you know, independent thing. And then he has the background here. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, if you wanted to do something like flowers, there's like a lot of, sorry, there's 1,000 tabs up here. Maybe let's just do this. Hold on. Hello? Oh man, sorry about that. So what are we doing? Flower background. Now, I'm not saying you could take all these stuff and market it, but something like a flower pattern, something like this. Take this. It's nice and high resolution. You could do something like this. Okay, we are back. I just made some adjustments to the background. I rasterized the logo, which basically just made sure that this was cut out instead of a color. And yeah, I messed around with the background just a little bit just to get it more where I was comfortable with it. It seems cool now. I mean, like I said, this all took, what, like 15 minutes? It's just to try to improve your guys' logo and show you the reasons why your logo just... where it could be better and where it could improve and what makes it improve and why does it look better after certain steps. So I hope this video helped you out. I know I touched on the avatar, considering this was his Twitter avatar. So Twitter avatars, or any avatars really, are straight up boxes. So you want to do something like this. We'll just drag over the flower pattern, which is right there, and that's the background. This should be perfect right there. We need to make it a lot smaller though. Why is there some saturation? That is super strange. Either way. There you go. Do this, and then he has his name in here. For the Twitter avatar, I don't think you should ever really do that. That's what's so great about having a logo, is you can just carry over the logo, and then you want to make sure that it is big enough to see at a small size. Look how small his is compared to the square. So you want to do new guide, 50%, really quick. And then again. And then all we do is center the logo. Make sure it's big enough. And then right there, composition looks fine. And maybe just to my eye, just knock it over a little bit because there's so much thickness there. And there you go. There's a Twitter avatar. It's going to read at a smaller size, and it is going to get the message across. That's your logo. Bam, right there. Instead of something like this, where when it's small, it just gets completely lost in itself. And yeah, so I hope this video helped. I hope it... I don't know if this format for a video will work. If you have a logo and you don't mind me kind of tearing it apart and fixing it and showing you why or how it could be better, then tweet me at Jason the Nicest. Tweet me your logo, and hopefully I can continue to share with you guys some of my knowledge of design and help you guys out. So if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like. It really does help me out. And until next time, stay safe, stay up, and peace out.